Hi, this is Lisa Benson from Benson's Boas. It's a rainy day here in New England. I figured I'd do another video. I'm doing it from my new boa room, which I introduced in my first video. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you with Santiago, who is a South Brazilian Amarylli and really one of my favorites. But we'll be talking about the 11 types of boas I work with, and also I'll talk to you about why boas, like why not some other type of snake, and how I got into boas in general, and also what my goals are. So I keep 11 different types of boas, 11 different types of locality boas. And locality boas are boas that can be traced back to a specific locality geographically. And I'm interested in that for a number of reasons, which I'll get into. But I keep 11 different types, and they range from dwarf, which means very small, to small to mid-sized. And what is the reason for that? Well, I think there's a real opportunity for people who don't have, large spaces to keep their boas in. And boas really make wonderful pets for a couple reasons. I mean, for a number of reasons, but one is they're really pretty straightforward to care for, and they're great eaters, and they're, as you can see, they're really wonderful to handle for the most part, the ones that are small to mid-size are very easy to handle, don't need large caging. And I think there's a real opportunity for those. So that's one of the reasons, I chose to focus on those, even though I have a larger space to work with. But the other reason is that, as an individual person working with boas, I didn't want to be working with boas that, were going to get so large that I started to feel uncomfortable myself handling them. If I happened to come across one that was, less friendly. Sometimes when you get one in, they're a little defensive until you have an opportunity to work with them for a while. In my case, I don't have any that I haven't been able to handle and tame down. All mine are very tractable, and that's one of the things I really work hard on, is making sure that they're all extremely, docile. But in this case, that was one of the things that really caused me to focus in on that size range of boas. In the future, I will do spotlights on each of the types of localities that I keep. So why boas? I am really drawn to their physical appearance, for one thing. I think their heads are beautiful. I mean, they just have spectacular shaped heads. They are different between the different species, but I find them incredibly refined and beautiful. The shape of their heads between the Amarylli, like this one, and the broad, flat Amarylli heads, the streamlined BCC heads, the beautiful muscular imperator heads. So I'm fascinated by the different head shapes, the Sigma head. I also love the muscular body type. They really are just one big long muscle. And, the rectangular body of some types, the fact that they can, extend out over such a long distance and hold that pose, it just fascinates me how they locomote across space. So those things drew me. Also the patterns and the colors. There's so much diversity in this species, boa. You can't get bored, you really can't. And every time I see another species, I'm always like, oh, that one would be really nice to have too. But, I do have to draw the line at some point. And so I've chosen at this point some to really focus on. The other thing I really like about boas is how they move and how they handle. They are not generally very fast moving unless they're striking at a prey item. But, they are relatively slow moving in hand. So, They're fun to handle, like this guy here, you know, he's relaxing. And I almost have like it's almost like a Zen-like experience handling them. I find it very peaceful and comforting. And I don't know how else to describe it. And I know it sounds kind of silly sometimes, but I really enjoy handling my snakes. And so that's one reason why boas, you know, as opposed to say a colubrid, which might be a more fast-moving, excitable snake. These snakes are just very relaxing to me. They are also very good eaters. You know, you don't have to generally worry about, you know, defrosting a prey item and then, you know, having the frustration of the animal not eating it. The next topic was why locality boas versus morph boas, because that's, you know, a whole separation in the hobby. You know, the morph boas are the boas that are really bred for color or pattern, and locality boas are, you know, for the most part, although they are line bred and selected for phenotype, morph boas are really bred for color and pattern, whereas these boas are selected, you know, from geographic locations and tried, you know, for the most part, maintained as they are. And that to me was very attractive because, for one thing, you know, that in the wild, the natural habitats tend to be destroyed over time. And that was sad to me. And I don't want to see these beautiful animals disappear from, you know, our experience. And I think it's so important that people get to experience how amazing they are and how beautiful, and especially since there's so much prejudice in the world against snakes, I think it's so important that people get to see how amazing these animals are. And so it was important to me to be part of the preservation of these natural species. And even as small as I am, you know, just any effort to continue the phenotypes and the genes of these animals as they exist in the wild, to me is important. So I'm doing my little part. What are my goals as a keeper and a breeder? Well, my goals are to raise these animals in as optimal conditions as I can. So although I know there are many different ways to keep snakes and boas, my way is to keep them in, you know, as spacious enclosures as possible, and to keep them in naturalistic enclosures so they get to experience different textures and opportunities to climb and do different types of movements as close as possible to nature. I know we can never substitute nature, but so what I've given them is enclosures that have, you know, substrate that they can burrow in, branches they can climb on, you know, cork bark that has different textures, you know, water bowls that are large enough they can, you know, hang out in if they want to, basking shelves so that they can hang out and get warm on. And all these things I do because I think, not only do I love to look at them in those poses, and I take pictures of them all the time, so if any of you follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you see that, but I love to, you know, to see them enjoying those spaces. But I also have a boa gymnasium that I have in the room. I don't know if you can see it here in the background, but that I provide that for just natural exercise for them. I try to get all my boas out on a regular basis, pretty much, unless they're digesting food. I'll get them out about every 4 days at least and let them climb and play. And, you know, they use the rope ladders, they use the climbing rocks, and, you know, they really love to just experience every different part of that gym. So I think it helps, you know, develop their muscle tone, which I think then benefits them later in breeding. So that's one of my goals as a keeper. And as a breeder, my goal is to produce quality offspring, you know, well-started babies that will, you know, go into the hands of collectors across the country and breeders across the country and help promote this mission of sharing these beautiful locality boas. And yeah, so that's what I'm all about. So if you like what this channel's about, please like and subscribe. And I'll be spotlighting these localities in future videos, and I'll be bringing more content to you on a regular basis. So please comment, ask any questions, and I'll be sure to get back to you in this comment section. And this time, this is Benson's Boas and Santiago. Later.